Da, 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 da.
What was that?
This is where you.
Were you trying to give me a musical intro? Like dun
Look
dun
who's
dun.
being a smartass.
Who brought the cookies to the party?
I brought the cookies to the party.
No.
Oh, I didn't bring the cookies?
No.
Who brought the cookies in?
Cookie stealer. From Mitchell.
No, those were Oreos. Those were chocolate chip.
Okay.
And Mitchell used Oreos.
So here we are. We're on the second episode of...
You don't get to do that part. That's my part.
Well, you're not even introducing it. That's what I mentioned a minute ago.
Well,
and
lead
you're
in-
still...
Lead and chat are supposed to be a sound check, so I got to hear Mark's.
Sound check. Sound check. Check.
Mark, how's your microphone sound? He doesn't want to talk. He wants to go back and use his iPhone to talk for him.
Well, you scared him. You scared him. That's what you did.
Well, I just don't want anything that's
All right.
in a webcast.
He's good to go. I'm ready to... Come on.
All right, and we're going to start. And welcome to episode 2 of No Title, the Bad Movie Nights movie web series that we're starting. And I don't know why we're doing this because it's not really working out very well, but we're going to go ahead anyway. This week we're talking about Men in Black, sequels, and cops. And with me, as I'll introduce the Bad Movie crew, sitting ahead of me is Agent M, Mark Zaharka.
Hey, everybody, what's going on?
To my right, I have Agent E, Eric Fickey.
Hey, what's going on?
And I am Agent N for Nick Serino.
Nagger.
Yeah, I couldn't come up... Since we're doing Men in Black, I couldn't come up with anything really clever. But if you put that together, though, M-E-N, we are the Agent Men in Black,
Agent
Men
Men?
in Basement.
Regimen?
Whatever. I mean, I can't be clever this week, sorry. We'll get back to
White
that next
men
week.
in black suits.
We're not wearing black suits, though. We're just all dressed in regular clothes. Whatever. In any
I've got
case,
red nails.
yes. Let's move on to. On that note, let's move on to our movie news, and we've got some great movie news for you this week. Although it's probably 2 weeks old. So, Mark, you have our first story. So let's go ahead with that.
Christina Applegate has signed on to Anchorman 2, so expect to see her in the sequel. We don't know how big of a role she's going to have, but
Yeah.
will there be a cameo or if she's going to be in the full film? We'll have to wait and see. But that movie is due to be out in 2013.
And we'll come back to Anchorman 2 later in the show because we talk about sequels. So, what's the other piece of news you had? You had another piece of breaking news.
Sam Jackson has signed on to be in the RoboCop remake.
They're remaking RoboCop.
Yes, they are.
Who
What
else?
movie aren't they remaking these days? You gotta
Yeah,
think-
that's a
say
good
that.
point. What?
Yes.
You got to figure everything's
If
getting a
it's
remake.
20 years old now, it's new to a young generation. They already own the rights to it and the property and the story, so
Yeah, let's
it's a
remake
proven
everything.
entity, so why not remake it, reboot it, reimagine it, or whatever they want to recall it?
Have they said who?
Oddly enough, Total Recall.
Yes, but that movie actually looks pretty decent.
Looks
I mean,
pretty
so far
decent.
the trailer.
But again, there's another one where, again, it's about 20 years old, and they
Let's-
shot it with
let's-
Colin Farrell, and that's coming out later this summer. But
Does that-
again,
does
getting
that mean-
ahead of ourselves.
Does that mean we're looking at a Terminator remake somewhere in our future once Schwarzenegger kicks the bucket?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Probably. I don't know. But
I'm just making prediction that probably in our lifetime we will see another reboot of Terminator
probably.
with a new.
New model, whatever, make of robot killer
Yeah,
machine.
it won't be a sequel. It won't be a sequel or prequel or anything else. It'll just be a.
You're going to get RoboCop versus Terminator, like the game.
Now that would be an interesting movie.
Really?
RoboCop versus Terminator?
They already did a whole comic series and the games.
Did they do
and- yeah.
Oh, I never saw the RoboCop versus Terminator comic. So
Yeah, no, that existed.
okay, and now Sam Jackson's joining the cast. We don't know who he's playing, right? It's just kind of. Is he going to be the captain? Is he going to be?
We don't know yet. He hasn't. It's not discussed in the article. I do know Gary Oldman is in the film.
And who's playing RoboCop?
Yeah, I forget the guy. It's a young guy.
I can tell
They
you.
do have a guy hired for the role.
But
though.
they've already said it. You people on the internet can figure out that for yourself as Mark looks it up on his smartphone anyway.
Joel Kinnaman will be
Okay,
playing
that
RoboCop.
guy. Is playing RoboCop.
He was in Safe House, The Darkest Hour, and The Killing.
Oh, The Killing. Is that the AMC TV series or
That-
A&E TV series or?
That I believe you're right on that.
Okay.
Yes.
No, because that's a very
Right.
critically
Yes,
popular
that
show.
is correct.
The Killing.
AMC.
And I've seen 1 or 2 episodes, and it's really a good,
Engrossing drama.
yes, engrossing drama. So maybe maybe RoboCop will be an engrossing drama instead of a action movie.
Just to shoot him up.
Okay, so that moves us into our second piece of news that we had this week. And Eric, you have that story. Go ahead.
Yes, George Lucas announced a couple days ago that he was actually stepping down from his top position with Lucasfilm. I'm sure he'll still have his fingers in a lot of pots, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure too. But who did he announce as his successor?
actually a long-time associate that's been helping him for it seems like decades now, Kathleen Kennedy, who has been involved with a lot of what he's worked with over the years with he and Steven Spielberg. She's taking the top-notch position that Lucas held.
She's now like officially the CEO of
Yeah.
Lucasfilm.
So it'll be interesting to see what choices she makes. And again, I think that'll take a little while to really kind of prove anything. Anybody can have a string of good movies, bad movies, whatever. But if she truly gets to do her own thing, it'll be interesting to see if there's any sort of a change.
We'll actually see if Lucas lets her do her own thing.
Do that, or if
know.
he's how much control will he still? Again, he still will be the owner of. He's going to be receiving a lion's share of money.
It's still his company, but
it'll be interesting to see after all these years. He's claimed for years that he's wanted to make these kind of art house independent films that he started with before he hit with American Graffiti.
Howard the Duck.
He didn't direct that, thank God, but he still produced it.
Yeah.
But like THX 1138, even American Graffiti, very kind of low budget kind of stuff. Interesting. He's done other shorts.
But there was one question I had when I saw this article, and that was, Kathleen Kennedy's mostly been a producer.
Yes.
Right? I mean, didn't she start out in casting?
I want to say that she did, yes.
And then she moved
with Kennedy Marshall, Frank Marshall. And
she moved into executive producing and producing and everything like that. Does it seem like to you that this is kind of an odd move to make her the CEO of a company now? Almost
I'd say no, only because of the amount of time she has spent in the industry, and especially with Lucas, Spielberg, and various others that are pretty high up the chain.
Yeah, but
I think she'll be competent at it, and that's the thing. I don't see her ruining the name, but hopefully
I think Lucas
she'll
has already done
kind of.
that.
Well, yeah, they can certainly rebuild the image a little bit, but I think she'll be decent with it. But again, we'll have to wait and see what she ultimately.
One thing, go ahead, Mark. You're going to make a point.
I don't know. I was just going to say, who knows? Maybe she'll work on a reboot of Star Wars.
The Darren Aronofsky
version of Star Wars.
The drug-induced Luke Skywalker.
Now, the point I was going to make is I would love to see Kathleen Kennedy take Lucasfilm back to what it used to do 20, 30 years ago when it came to the special effects. I mean, how many movies went to Lucasfilms like, no, we need certain special effects and only you guys can pull it off?
Yeah, well, now you have a lot of other digital companies and domains.
That's the thing. Lucas is now just a sheep
One of many
studios that can do special effects, but their practical effects were really good.
Yes.
And they were ahead of the game at that point, and now it's like, no, we're not the head.
Well, I think they're still at the top of the pack, but they're very expensive. So
they're very expensive, and they spent the last
so
many years working with episode 1, 2, and 3.
But again, we'll have to wait and see what she ultimately does with it, and I hope she does a good job with it. It'll be interesting to see.
I can only hope that maybe Kathleen Kennedy somehow finds a way to get the Star Wars TV series off the ground somehow.
Yeah, that'd be kind of nice.
Because that's been mired in, we can't do it because we don't have the money or we can't get the budget to do all these episodes, because Lucas wanted to do 100 episodes.
He wanted to shoot like a couple seasons all at once, get an automatic kind of residuals, reruns going to syndication, and that's fine. But I mean,
for that you need a lot of budget and a lot of money.
Yeah, I think.
Or you need someone telling you, "Hey,
they go
for
traditional
a cheaper budget."
Yeah, go a season at a time, like the other 99.9% of shows go. And if it's a hit, I would think people would be willing to come back to it, or other companies would want to, put money into it.
Yeah.
But
so Kathleen Kennedy, I wish you luck at Lucasfilm. I hope George Lucas doesn't be too much of a monkey on your shoulder, because I'm sure they'll have a Cisco set up, like a live chat where Lucas will be looking in on everything, like, "What you doing over there? What you doing? What'd you just sign? What'd you just sign? What's that? What's that?"
Maybe
I
we'll
don't
see.
approve of that. Cancel that. Lucas will be the monkey on her shoulder, like, because again, like you said, it's his name, it's his company. It's like, Kathleen, what are you doing?
Well, I don't think she's going to change her colors after like 20, 30 years of business with the guy. So that's why he's giving her that.
I don't think so either. But
position.
You just never know.
Right.
So let's moving on to the third story we have for today. Okay, all right. Which is, I was surprised to read this on Huffington Post. It was the CEO
Copyright.
Comcast. Well, I'm quoting my source.
Okay, Woodward. Or is it Bernstein?
Neither. The Comcast CEO, Brian Roberts, came out and pretty much failed Battleship and the movie 5-Year Engagement.
What's it say? Engagement.
I spelled it wrong in the script. Sorry. And I thought this was a surprise because NBC Universal is owned by Comcast, and here is the head Comcast guy pretty much saying, yes, these movies that we produced and put a lot of money into are complete bombs. And I did see Battleship. I did not think it was that good. I'd give the movie probably a D. I mean, effects-wise,
great.
B+, A, almost A, where it's like visual effects looked great. Came to story, character, plot line.
Just lacking anything.
Needs improvement, below average, whatever you want to call a D movie, and it just needed a lot of help. But to hear the CEO come out and say, yeah, we put money into this and it's crap, it just feels like, I wouldn't say that, but he kind of
somewhat
did.
refreshing.
It is somewhat refreshing to hear
somebody actually a prominent position actually kind of badmouth their own product.
Yeah, which you just don't see. You really don't
It's
see
rare.
that a lot
It's rare.
in Hollywood at all. I mean, when was the last time you saw a head of a studio ever come out and say, "Yeah, I made this movie and it sucks. It's a piece of shit." I've heard directors say it. Like, like David Fincher with Alien 3. Didn't he come out and kind of say, like, that wasn't the movie I wanted to make?
That wasn't the film
kind of
he
pressured.
intended to make, yes. He's, over the years, finally started to talk about it. But, yeah, for quite a long time, he disavowed the film and just wanted to talk about it. And there was just a lot of behind-the-scenes shenanigans going on that we didn't get to hear about. But, yeah, it seemed like...
Now it's coming out like, no, the original version of Alien 3 was not the version of the film I wanted to make. And then he did a recut of it, and it's like, no, this is what I was talking about.
Yeah, the studio went in and went with his notes. He didn't actually go in to do it, but they went with his notes. And that director's cut of the film, which is available on DVD, is much better than the version that was shown in theaters. And they just didn't see it, so they... Yeah, but again, the studios have all sorts of shenanigans that you don't get to really hear about, but...
Well, we're hearing about it more, I think, because of the internet and the availability. It's like, as soon as this guy went out and said it to I think it was the Hollywood Reporter that originally published the comments, and then Huffington Post, picked it up. It's just like, wow, we don't normally get these guys talking bad about the fruit. And I was surprised about the 5-Year Engagement because that was an R-rated movie. It had Jason Segel in it, and it had Emily Blunt and Alison Brie. And no, Jason Segel. I think is a very funny guy.
Right.
And when he's doing these more R-rated, more adult comedies, he's funny. Forgetting Sarah Marshall was a very funny movie, and I thought like, oh, cool, this is going to be like something along that lines. And apparently, it bombed at the box office. It's been a bomb for them.
Kind of a lame duck,
a lame duck, or they just didn't make their money back. So interesting to hear him say that, and. Well, we'll have to see what happens with the future of NBC Universal. I guess some guys' heads are going to roll at that studio. Or
probably.
Like, who approved this script?
Yeah.
You're out. You're fired. So, moving on to our main body, which is Men in Black 3 and sequels. Much like E3 going on right now, we're seeing a lot of sequels, and we've seen our share of sequel movies that have come out. But most recently, Men in Black 3 came out, which was Men in Black 1 was a fun movie to watch. It was definitely great. Then Men in Black 2 came out, and that was a piece of shit.
All right, calm down. Jeez.
Men in Black 3's $400 million worldwide.
Well, yes, Men in Black 3 has come out and has been successful. I think it.
Now, here's a question. Not to throw you off point here, but Men in Black.
No, don't do that. Don't throw me off point.
Men in Black 3 is making a lot of money. If it's going to bring that kind of dough for that company, do you think they're going to make a part 4?
Probably yes. But I don't know. I would like to have seen them leave it at where Men in Black 1 ended with Agent J being now he was the head guy. He was a super agent.
Right.
Tommy Lee Jones or Agent K, he trained them up. He's like, no, I'm training my replacement. You're going to be the guy now. Lyndon Fiorentino's going to be your partner, whatever. And then Men in Black 2 had to erase all that. Had to kind of take it all back to the first movie where it's like, oh, now bring K back and make them partners again. That was where the best part of the film was, and that just made the film bad, in my opinion.
Right.
Men in Black 3 kind of doesn't
fix that.
It doesn't fix it, but in the sense it brings it back to, like, look, if you could just ignore Men in Black 2 and go from Men in Black 1
To this.
edit out the ending of them neuralizing K and
Here's your next
sending
one.
him back to his regular life, this could be your next movie where it's like, this is a good movie to follow up Men in Black 1 with. Because it was a fun film, entertaining. The villain in it was, I think, a pretty decent villain. Boris the Animal is the villain, and he's played by the guy from Flight of the Conchords, which is like, you can't even recognize him at first, but he has that voice, and it's like, oh, wait, you are that guy. And visual effects were great. Rick Baker Studios did the makeup effects for some of the aliens, and you had a funny story about that real quick, or about the you were telling me about how Rick Baker was upset that
in the first two movies, he gave an interview and he said that basically he wanted to do these kind of retro mutants that would have been from the past, I guess, from when he grew up and things that he was familiar with. And in each of the first two movies, I said, no, that's kind of neat, but we don't get it. We don't want to do it. And he said in the third one, since a large element is a time travel going back to the 60s, it allowed, when he brought that up again, to be very timely to the period, I guess, when he was growing up watching these movies right before he started doing special effects makeups.
And somewhere in the movie there is
he put a mutant from This Island Earth in there, Invasion of the Saucermen, things like that. So they're little nods to a lot
Lady
of other...
Gaga, Justin Bieber.
They were up on the big board
as other aliens.
And I thought that was funny with Gaga. And Lady Gaga didn't have a code name. It's like her alien name is Lady Gaga,
right?
Which was funny. I was like, look at that. But no, the other thing you were telling me about was the fact that Rick Baker kind of got upset that one of his aliens that he put a lot of work into got used for only a 2-second shot.
Split-second thing.
A split-second shot in the film.
I didn't see the film, but yes, there's a part in the movie, I guess fairly early on, where they're in a Chinese restaurant, and there was this very ornate creature and everything, and it was behind a wooden post. He put all this time into creating this very ornate being. And in the scheme of things, it wound up getting put right behind the post, so it almost got no screen time. You see it, and it gets obliterated, essentially. And he said it's just one of those things where you put all this time and effort into these different creatures, and you ultimately don't know where it's going to wind up or if it's going to get put on the cutting room floor, and you put all this time and effort. He was happy with doing the movie, and he got to do all these things from his childhood and little nods to other movies, but he said, yeah, it's just one of those kind of, it's a crapshoot when you do all this makeup stuff, what makes it to the final film, or
which is really a shame, because it's like he does such good work.
Yes, he does. He's won a few Oscars, and he's very well known for doing these very decent
I feel bad for him,
latex effects and not digital. He's not against it, but
I really feel bad for him, because man, I really worked on that one alien and it ended up behind the post, and then it got shot in a split second.
Right.
And it's like, wow, if I knew that was going to happen, I wouldn't have put so much work into that guy. I would have just put a couple antenna on him or something and that's it. Kill him.
Right.
So, yeah, Men in Black, I really wish they could have just merged Men in Black 1
with 3.
With 3, cut out 2, leave it, or just take the end of 2 where Kay shows Jay that it's like, hey, kid, there's still a lot you have to learn about
the universe.
This universe and aliens and other things going on. That's cool. That's about the best part of Men in Black 2 is the very end.
Okay.
And it's a shame it's the very end.
Now, another sequel that came out that Mark and I had seen, now you two guys had saw Men in Black 3. I did not see it yet.
No, you went and saw a different movie. What movie did you guys... Did you
Mark Zaharko and I went to go see Pirahna 3 Double D in the theaters, one of now supposedly 86 theaters that are showing it. When we went to see it a couple days ago, it was playing at a theater. And for as bad as, say, Men in Black 2 was, as following up a decent, good film, Pirahna 3D was fine for the TNA and the gore stuff, but it was far from being a great, good movie.
I remember talking on the phone and you were saying that, this was one of the most...
Pirahna 3 Double D, and I love horror films. People might not know that about me, but I love all sorts from Oscar-winning stuff to grade Z, just crap, but it can still be entertaining. Mark and I saw this movie, and we both agreed that this was the worst bargain basement, horrendous kind of follow-up sequel. It was
by far the worst movie I've ever paid for in a movie theater.
I would say it's...
Yes. Worse than Hunger Games?
Oh my God, yes. I would say King Kong Lives.
It was worse than the Hunger Games and the Avengers.
I would say King Kong Lives was the last movie I was paid for that it was that ridiculous bad, and I enjoyed King Kong Lives more than this.
I think I have to say mine is Constantine.
Really? You thought that was that horrible of a movie?
Well,
Honestly,
no.
from acting, special
And you didn't like the
effects,
Holy
plot.
Shotgun? Come on.
No, the Holy Shotgun I did not like at all. Actually, no, I take that back. I think the worst one I ever paid for was Van Helsing.
Yeah, that was pretty crappy.
I mean, well,
It was just an overabundance of
I'll give it. I'll
action.
give it a toss up. I'll take that back and say the worst movies I ever paid for is a toss up between either Wild Wild West or Van Helsing.
Not League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
No, because League of Extraordinary Gentlemen,
Oh, I like that.
I actually kind of liked. It was a nice.
That was kind of a
It was
neat
just a fun.
idea.
It was just a fun action movie, and it was,
Yeah, it was a fun action movie with a neat concept. But this, getting back to Pirahna 3 Double D,
yeah. This
to me that was the worst base everything that you can do. It just, the continuity errors, the flubs, just everything about it.
A lot of movie flubs, and then you said like how long, Mark? How long did the end credits roll for?
At least 10 minutes, if not more.
And it was an 82-minute movie. So, I mean, there you
That's-
go. It literally was like an hour and 10-minute movie. And even there,
It's 10 minutes worth of credits.
it's 10 minutes worth of credits. Just everything about it was just horrendous. And I love the original Joe Dante film. And even the James Cameron, in name only, kind of directed sequel,
Yeah.
the Piranha 2, The Spawning, and even the first Piranha 3D. I don't really count that TV cable version with Roger Corman for the Piranha remake. That was just bad. But this Piranha 3 Double D was just the worst. And I would say when it comes out, I know it's on video on demand right now, but even at $6.99,
$6.99.
it's not worth it. I would say, you got a friend that bought it or, has a copy.
If you have Netflix, watch it on Netflix.
There you go.
Is
But
it on Netflix? Maybe.
I don't know.
Eventually.
I know it's
Eventually.
on video on demand right now, but yeah, I just want to put that in there because it is playing in theaters. I was hoping to like it because, like I said, I enjoyed the Piranha 3D movie, but I expected more from that. This one makes the first one look like an Oscar winner. The Piranha 3D movie, this new one makes that Piranha 3D look like an Oscar-winning film.
Okay, so now on that topic, let's go to our next point, which is sequels. So, what were some of the best sequels you've ever seen? Mark, go ahead and lead us off.
Best sequels?
Like some of the best sequels you've ever seen, where it's like you saw the original movie, then it's like, oh, here comes the next one.
Superman 2.
Which one? Which version though? Lester or Richard Donner cut?
I like them both.
Well, which one do you say is better?
I had to go with Lester's just for sure fact that that's the one I grew up with. I
Okay.
didn't see the Donner cut until recently when they put it together.
They put
you
it
know?
out, but I mean, I would totally agree with you because I love watching Superman 2, the Lester cut, because it's not only just a fun film, but there's always those little things in there where it's like my favorite scene of Superman walking back to the North Pole. It's like trying to hitch a ride on the truck. It's like Superman can't even
Catch a ride.
Can't even catch a ride back to the North Pole. And I still like, on a side note, I still like to know how he gets from the Fortress of Solitude to a car to that diner wherever they're at. Because
it's all in the stars.
I mean, because he can't fly anymore, right?
Right.
I mean, so
he's gonna hike it.
him and Lois had to walk from the Fortress of Solitude, which is in the middle of the North Pole somewhere, all the way back to the car.
Well, you got to realize the Fortress of Solitude has a 3-car garage built into it.
Does it really?
Yes.
Yes.
What kind of car does Superman drive?
A station wagon.
A Chevy Nova.
Okay.
A Gremlin.
But what are some of the other great sequels out there?
Exorcist 2, The Heretic, John Borman's finest masterpiece.
Batman Returns.
Oh, Batman Returns. Oh, Batman Returns is as bad as Batman Forever. Ugh.
Or Batman and Robin.
Or Batman, Batman and Robin, yes, definitely is good. Other than comic movies, because we're not going to go back into comic movies.
Right.
How about a good sequel, Terminator 2?
Yeah, no, Terminator 2 is very good. I think Aliens to Alien, very good.
I think they're two different. I think there was two different movies because Aliens was more of an action movie and
Right.
Alien is more of a horror movie.
But you said what was a good follow-up sequel.
Well, yeah, no, it's definitely.
And I
good.
think it's an action horror film, but I thought that was... They took a lot of similar ideas, and they expanded upon it, and I think that's what worked very
Lord
well.
of the
Same
Rings,
with
The Two Towers.
Yes, the Two Towers, in my opinion, still
the best.
in my opinion, the best of the Lord of the Rings movies, and that's a sequel.
Gremlins 2, the new batch.
I was thinking of, and going back to sci-fi, we missed two of them that are great sequels. And The Empire Strikes Back,
Yes.
excellent sequel. I mean, still considered probably the best of the Star Wars original trilogy, which is the only trilogy that exists in my mind. I don't care about episode 1, 2, and 3.
Prequels don't exist in this dojo.
And Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. I mean, I still love watching that movie. It's
a very good.
It's honestly probably it's probably the best of the Star Trek movies of all 6 of those, or if you want to count Next Generation, which I don't count Next Generation because we're not even gonna get into that chestnut. Those movies were all,
Yeah.
First Generations. Then you have First Contact, better. Then you had Insurrection.
And then you had Nemesis.
Nemesis, the best one since Star Trek 5. I'm looking for God.
Oh, you know what? That reminds me. I read an old Starlog about the afterwards what they originally planned. I think you told me about this too, where they planned for like these stone gargoyles to be chasing after Kirk.
Yeah, part
on
5, yes.
The planet, which actually would have been like, wow, that's kind of cool.
Something added to it, but they couldn't afford it.
Right. It didn't materialize, which is always a neat thing. But going to sequels. Now here's a sequel that I love watching, but I will admit that yes, it is a rehash of the first film. It definitely has a lot of recycled humor from the first film.
But it still works.
It still works because they added enough to it where it was like
Airplane 2.
Yes, Airplane.
How did you know that?
Because it's on the script.
Mark doesn't have a script.
He's looking at the script on his phone.
That's off.
Well, any case.
Anywho.
No, yeah, Airplane 2. Yes, they recycled a lot of humor. Yes, it's just it's the first movie again in space. The space shuttle flight is doomed, and only Stryker and Elaine can save it.
What about Home Alone 2?
I don't know. Home Alone 2. I mean, it was funny, but again, the end is the same. The end of Home Alone 2 is the same as the end of Home Alone 1.
It's rehashing. It was
rehashing
rehashing old jokes from the first film.
I mean,
Same with Austin Powers too.
Yeah.
But Austin Powers 2
really expanded on the toilet humor, but they I would say 40% of it was recycled from the first movie, and that's okay. But when you start getting an abundance of it, it only feels almost like a half a movie. I love the movie, don't get me wrong.
Oh no,
but
Austin Powers
it just
is really funny.
But it's almost like you recycle too many jokes. It's like I already saw this. Literally, you showed this to me 2 years ago.
But you know what the thing is, when you see in a movie, sometimes when you're seeing a sequel, you just kind of throw that at it. I guess back it out of your mind, like forget all that. Just show me something. If you're showing something funny and you're laughing at it, you sort of forget that. Yeah, I heard this joke before. Yeah. But I mean, Airplane 2 still has my favorite Shatner freak out of all time when he starts talking about it. And he's like, "Oh, cut the bleeding heart crap, will you? I mean, we all down here, we all got buttons and lights and switches, and they're all freaking me out. I'm going crazy." And he just goes nuts. And he's like, "Sir, I'm okay. I'm okay. All right, Stryker. Well, just go ahead and crash the damn thing. I don't care. Let's pack it up. Let's get off shut it all down. We're packing it in. See you later." Yeah. And again, there was enough added to Airplane 2 to make it a funny sequel, just like Wayne's World 2. I loved Wayne's World 1, and Wayne's World 2, again, recycled humor, rehashed stuff, but it just felt a bit
fresh enough.
It felt fresh enough to be new and original, and that can come back to Anchorman 2, where it's like, here's another comedy. Where do we think we're going to see a lot of recycled humor in Anchorman 2? Or do you think it might be
the movie's going to be far. The two movies are far enough apart that you're not going to see. I don't think you're going to see much of it. Again, you're going to have characters that may seem like you're rehashing old jokes because of the way Brick is, and just the way each character is portrayed. But
they can evolve. But they can also evolve the characters. Like maybe Brian Fantana gets married or something.
I don't think so. I think they're going to keep him pretty stupid. Like they were in the first movie, lovable, but just kind of.
No, yeah, I agree. I think they will keep them stupid and silly in their sense, but it's like you can.
I think they only remotely did that with Ron.
Well, yeah,
falling in love, but even when he was in love, he screwed up the relationship until the very end of the movie. I expect more of the same in that regard. He's still going to be a macho idiot.
But do you think they'll still be together?
Yeah. I do. I think they'll go from that. I mean, that's the thing. In the end, they
They
kind of
won't
jump
reset.
ahead saying that, oh, well, they've been together for many years and they went on to network and all this. But you don't know how far ahead that was. They easily have gaps in between.
So you don't think they'll reset it back to like, no, this is Ron and Veronica are single again? And
They
or-
could for the sake of the plot of the movie, but we'll just have to wait and see. It's coming out, what, next year,
Or they'll-
2013?
You know what? For all we know, they could throw out there it's an alternate timeline. That our
Ooh.
movie didn't exist.
alternate timeline. Evil Ron Burgundy.
That's right.
Or no, alternate timeline where Brick is smart, Brian Fantana is gay, and
Whammy!
and Champ is
Running a water park, the Wet and Wild Water Park
no,
with David
no,
Hasselhoff.
they'll make Champ Hispanic or something. Or,
What? We're talking about good sequels. What about bad sequels?
yeah, what about bad sequels? Because there have been a lot of bad sequels.
There have been no bad sequels, my friends.
There have been tons of bad sequels, actually.
Jaws of Revenge.
RoboCop
Shit.
2.
RoboCop 2.
RoboCop 3.
I got one for you that's really bad, and it was certainly a disappointment when I went and saw it.
Exorcist 2, The Heretic. Why
No,
do you
not-
keep ignoring that one?
No, not Exorcist 2. Blues Brothers 2000.
Yes, I agree with you. And I've always said the only good thing about that movie was John Landis was able to get a lot of honest-to-God real blues playing, bands
Oh yeah, yeah.
and singers
the
together.
Music, the music talent in that movie was
They should have
great.
made just a music score and gotten all these groups together and just slapped a Blues Brothers label on it and just released an album.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the movie, regardless of what he and John Belushi,
I mean, do you remember-
John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd wrote from years ago. A lot of that script existed from when they wrote the original, and they had to cut it out.
Right.
But that's up there with Pirahna 3 Double D, and I saw Blues Brothers 2000 in the theater.
Yeah.
That to me was another one that was just completely, for everything that made it work in the first one, they seemed to completely miss the boat with it in the second one. There was
Oh.
one or two moments that seemed inspired, and it felt like the first one that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
That was it,
And
and
even-
then the rest was a
and
rehash
even
of the
that-
first one.
And even that was sort of a rehash of the first one because they went back to Bob's Country Bunker, which
Yep.
was now Bob's Country Restaurant or
It's
something.
again a nod to the first movie.
Not
and
the
all.
first movie, but,
But
again,
when it
it's
just
like,
doesn't work and you're then rehashing stuff from the first movie, it feels like a cheap grab
And
for
yes,
something that works.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have not watched Blues Brothers 2000 on Bad Movie Night in the last
no, we haven't because
since 2004. We have not watched that film.
Maybe that'll change.
yeah, maybe
I doubt it.
maybe it will change because maybe we'll be like
We ran out of bad movies.
when we finally run out of bad movies, we'll put in Blues Brothers 2000, and maybe I'll finally break down and watch the David Niven version of Casino Royale.
And maybe we'll actually get to watch Porky's Part 3.
Yeah.
Did we ever watch Porky's 2?
Yeah.
We never watched Porky's 3?
Well, no, you hate it.
I don't hate the movie.
That's not what you told me.
Well,
No.
you heard me wrong then.
Of
I
course
don't
I
hate the
did.
movie. I'll give another sequel that really was a bad one that they should never have made. Smokey and the Bandit 3.
Smokey is the Bandit. That was from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yes.
A fun sequel, and they're doing another one.
Which, that's going to be weird to see so many years later. It's like, wow, Bill and Ted.
Yeah, why
3.
not?
Because they
They still look good. They still look
Billy
like they could
grown-
be
Billy-
idiots.
Keanu Reeves is grown up and looking old, not older now, but I
No,
mean,
but if you give them that shaggy hair and you get them going, whoa, and that's totally, whatever.
haven't we evolved beyond? Whoa.
No, we haven't. Joey Lawrence is bringing it back.
But yeah, Smokey and the Bandit 3 didn't even have Burt Reynolds in it. It was just
Yeah, he was in the end.
oh, in the very end.
So, all right, I'm gonna throw this out there to you. What do we, in general, what do we think it was the worst sequel of all time?
Caddyshack 2.
That's pretty good.
I would say Jaws of Revenge.
Jaws are. I mean, Caddyshack is such a funny film.
Yes, Caddyshack 2 is like Blues Brothers 2000.
I don't even know why they made it or what they were.
Everything
going for.
about that movie was
Was
just, it seemed like a horrible grab at money. And,
Yep.
and the first one was so, it just worked from start to finish. Same with like Blues Brothers. It's just one of those
Oh,
things
you know what?
where...
I got one that might top that. Weekend at Bernie's 2.
Yeah, it's bad,
I
but
mean-
you know what? I
I
think
mean,
because of
come
Caddyshack
on.
and Blues Brothers and some of these other movies are so highly regarded, I like Weekend at Bernie's. It was a funny movie,
Oh yeah, it was a funny movie.
but
But the second one
I
was
don't
like-
put it up there with like Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2, Caddyshack, Caddyshack 2, Blues Brothers, etc. You know, it's
Ghostbusters-
just
I never really thought Ghostbusters 2 was a great sequel. It was a funny sequel, but I never.
it
thought
was a fun sequel, but it was pale, very pale in comparison to the original.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's just like Weekend at Bernie's 2. I'm not saying Weekend at Bernie's is anything like Ghostbusters, but
No, Ghostbusters.
I
Ghostbusters
just think
is a
that
timeless.
the
kind
Weekend
of,
at Bernie's 2 was just wringing out any extra laughs they could get with just shoving Bernie into any kind of
and Caddyshack 2 was just
horrible.
not funny.
That was just
I mean,
horrible.
Jackie Mason is in it, but and he's a great comedian.
Well, they asked Rodney Dangerfield to come back, and he said no. So
Well, okay, no,
there's a sign right there.
That's fine, but it's like, but Jackie Mason's has been he's a very funny comedian.
And yet you look at
and,
that sequel.
and then you look at that film, and you're just like, why is this not funny? Or why is this bad?
Right,
Or,
they really missed the boat, and it's the same story.
What happened?
It's the same
Yeah,
movie.
Yep.
And it's the same story as Caddyshack 1, but what happened? Why did you get this so wrong?
I don't know.
Mark, what would you say is one of your worst sequels of all time? Star Trek 5.
That's yours, Nick.
Oh, it's up there.
Well, I might have to say Superman 4.
The Quest
Superman
for
4,
Peace.
The Quest for Peace. Well,
If you get the Blu-ray, folks, tell them about the Blu-ray, Mark.
yeah, what's on the Blu-ray that's so entertaining?
Well, if you get the Blu-ray, or actually, if you get the DVD set, you can watch the extra deleted scenes from Part 4, and you will see a surprising amount of footage that was cut from the film. Almost 40 to 45 minutes of film not used, including another nuclear man.
Which
one wasn't good enough. They needed two.
no, and this nuclear man looks like a
It looks like a
great dumbass moron.
yeah,
clown kind of with a
Michael Jackson-ish clown. I don't know.
with the sparkly suit.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't he have like a
Yeah.
sequin jacket or something? And it's like, and his voice is so like a clown
A baby,
voice. It's
goofy.
baby,
And
goofy,
you
high-pitched.
you get Margot Kidder, you get Christopher Lee. I'm sorry, Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Lee.
Yes, Christopher Lee.
Dracula's in it.
You get Gene Hackman, and you get John Cryer and Margot Hemingway. Where could you go wrong with that film?
Mariel Hemingway.
Mariel Hemingway. Yeah, there you
Margot.
go. Yeah, well.
Mariel
where
Hemingway.
could you go wrong
Star 80 Mariel
Where
Hemingway.
could you go wrong
Rent
with
it,
that film?
folks. Rent it.
What?
Star 80.
Oh, okay.
She blows her brains out at the end of that movie.
Thanks for
She
spoil-
doesn't.
You should have said spoiler alert before that.
I didn't want to.
Snyder does. Paul Snyder.
No, you should say spoiler alert. Oh, great. Now we just ruined it for you.
Don't rent that movie. Rent it, except for that Mariel Hemingway actually had breast enlargement surgery specifically for that film.
Wow. Did not know
Yes,
that.
to do that for the film.
Did not know that and didn't really need to know that either, but it's okay.
Oh, Bob Fosse directed it. It's a very good film.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Except for someone blowing their brain. Never mind.
It's
Move on.
Have you ever watched it?
No, I've never seen it. Sorry.
I'll recommend it. It's a very good movie.
Okay, fine.
Good movie night, not a bad movie night.
So that's 2 recommendations. I guess I have to go watch it now.
Yes.
All right.
Check for
Um,
Netflix.
But the so yeah, bad sequels. Now, this made a list of list I saw on Huffington Post of bad sequels, and I didn't agree with this. I'll throw out 2 movies that I did not agree that should have been on this list. Police Academy 2. Was that do you think that was a bad sequel in your mind?
It was weaker than 1.
Oh yeah, it was definitely weaker than 1, but was it?
And one was fun, but I don't regard that as any sort of high benchmark classic. So I don't really
First
think
Police
of.
Academy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it, but I don't watch it on a regular basis like other comedies I might throw in, just on a whim.
All right.
Nothing against the film, but I would agree with you. Mark, I think it's weaker than the first one,
film, but not terrible.
but it's
sequel.
nowhere. Yeah, it's not
As
some
bad
of
as
these other
Caddyshack-
movies that
as
we
bad as
mentioned.
Caddyshack
Yeah,
2
I think
or-
that. But again, that's from wherever you got this list from, and everyone's going to have opinions on
I
what
got
they.
I got this list off the Huffington Post.
Did you get permission from the Huffington Post?
I guess not.
What do
So-
you say, Sam?
But another one that was on the list that I didn't necessarily agree with was Goldmember. Austin Powers Goldmember. Now
That was hilarious.
I will laugh my butt off at that movie, even though yes, I get it. It's recycled humor.
A lot of recycled humor,
You know,
but they made it work.
Yeah.
By the third
There was
one,
a-
it was the most ridiculous, stupid, insane, goofy, funny, whatever you want to call it,
And
but
give-
it worked.
And give give Mike Myers credit the fact that he at least introduces a new character
Right.
in each film. Because in the second one he did Felicity Shangwell and Fat Bastard, brought them into the mix, and then in this film in Goldmember he brings in Goldmember, and Goldmember was funny. he had funny lines, he had funny scenes, and
Yeah, it worked.
it worked.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it's one of the worst sequels of all time.
I can
Certainly not.
understand from a critical standpoint, if you're a reviewer for movies or whatever, it's like, you know what, it's all toilet humor. You're not bringing anything new that we haven't seen 2 times already. So on that level, yes, you can do that with a lot of movies.
Certainly not as bad as Teen Wolf 2 or.
But, yeah, then
Racist
there
2.
are other movies out there, sequels, that are just, like, devoid of anything, where it's like you're really working off a classic, or even not even Teen Wolf, really, but,
Or even Star Wars Episode 2.
But you have something to go off of, and the sequel then just delivers completely nothing to it, where it's just like, what was the point of them doing this at all?
Star Wars Episode 2, I mean, it's a sequel to
Really bad movie.
a really bad movie.
And then it got better with Part 3, and then it was
Did it get
over.
better? Did it get better with Part 3?
Marginally.
Well, we'll have to go into
No.
Darth Vader on a roller coaster.
No. No, it wasn't even that, but it's our favorite line from Episode 2. I killed him, and not just the men, but the women and the children. I hate them. I hate them. And everything. And it's like, wow, you can act, kid. All right. Well, I shouldn't make fun of him because Hayden Christensen was just getting direction from George Lucas, and George
He was the
Lucas-
mastermind behind these prequels.
Yes, he was. He shall take full blame for the prequels.
Yes.
So moving on, since we're talking about bad movies, let's move on to our final segment, which we do every time, which is a bad movie plug of the episode. I called it originally bad movie plug of the week, but I don't think we're doing this every week to call it that. So we'll just say bad movie plug of the episode.
Of the episode.
Episode. And since our topic was cops, not really. Well, Men in Black were kind of like intergalactic cops in a sense. I picked Night Patrol.
Aww.
Oh,
Nick. Does that upset you? Well, you know what?
I thought you were gonna pick Police Academy 7, Mission to Moscow.
Mission to Moscow.
Now there's a good sequel.
Great sequel. Hey, that's a great sequel because who's in Mission to Moscow?
Claire Florani.
Claire Forlani, who is extremely hot.
Ron Perlman, Hellboy.
Ron
Yes.
Perlman and Christopher Lee.
Yes, Christopher Lee.
Chris Lee.
Yeah, look, the guy. It's not as bad as Count Dooku in Episode 2 and 3. So we'll just leave it at that. Okay, Christopher Lee. I mean, you were great as Saruman, but Count Dooku
And Frankenstein's monster. And Dracula.
I'm sorry, and Dracula, yes, and all your great roles. You should have walked away from Star Wars. You should have just walked away.
Stayed with the Lord of the Rings and not done
Yeah,
that.
you should have told Lucas, like, hey, you know what? It's nice and all you want me, but I'm gonna go do something else, like eat a cheeseburger. I don't know.
Speaking of eating cheeseburgers, don't the cops in Night Patrol eat cheeseburgers?
Yes. In Night Patrol. And Night Patrol isn't exactly a bad movie. It's actually one. Eric, you brought that movie to our.
Merrick.
Yes, Merrick.
You brought that movie to Bad Movie Night.
Yes,
that
couple
one
years
weekend.
ago.
I'd never seen it before. Mark, I don't think you had seen it
No.
before. So this was the first time for both of us, and we laughed our butts off with this movie. Yeah. Not because it's bad, but because it's actually pretty good in its humor.
It's just a good, goofy,
It's
raunchy,
a good, goofy, raunchy cop
spoofing cop
buddy
movies.
cop movie. Yeah.
Before Naked Gun came out.
And it had some surprising stars in it too. It had Linda Blair
Yes.
from The Exorcist.
Pat Paulson, that was the guy. He's
Pat
the male
Paulson.
lead. He ran for president back in the day in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yes, he did.
And he's in it. The Unknown Comic, Andrew Dice Clay.
I think Pat Paulson. I think that whole bit was on the Smothers Brothers at one point.
Yes, yeah, he had been doing that for quite a while.
And it was a whole big thing on the Smothers Brothers.
But
but Linda Blair, Billy Barty from Wizard of Oz,
Wizard of Oz.
And
Is in it.
UHF.
and UHF, yes, is in it. And there's some great funny scenes. Like Billy Barty plays the chief, and he says like, "Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drive every hooker in this city out of town." And what does he do? In a scene later, it's like you see him in a car driving every hooker out of town, and they're like, "Oh, look, there goes the chief." it's just funny because it's like, wow, it's a little bit raunchy. And then there's some great scenes with Andrew Dice Clay, who makes young comic who makes these cameo appearances. When they're talking to the Unknown Comic, right, is in it, and he just kind of pops up and he tells one of my favorite jokes, which is, "Hey, remember me, Tony Baroni? Why'd the monkey fall from the tree? He was fucking dead." Oh, and again, it's like he's funny because he's not. He just pops up out of nowhere and just does these random jokes.
And it's almost
random
still
jokes.
like his Dice Man character, but it was years before people really kind of knew him as Dice.
As Dice.
Yeah.
And then but it's funny.
Yeah, it works.
It's funny. And there's some other great wordplay jokes and just some other funny scenes. The scene where they're eating cheeseburgers in a restaurant, you see this big giant gloppy
Rubber
flies hitting the window, and then the cops the guy that runs the diner is like got his thumb in his armpit and then up his butt.
Serving food.
And he's serving food. And then another favorite scene is the one right in the beginning, where our main character, the cop, pulls over a guy and he's like, "What are you, crazy?" And then the guy gets out of the car. He's actually literally in a straitjacket.
In a straitjacket,
and he's
speaking
like,
French.
You're missing the best scene in the film. How can you forget Pat Morita?
"Oh yes, Pat Morita with a
feminine voice.
With a feminine voice, and he's talking about how
he was molested.
He was molested, but the guys made him do all the work
to himself.
To himself, and then it's like they didn't do it 13. They made me do it 13 times, and I can't even walk anymore.
We can't do this movie justice. We highly recommend.
Yes, find it somewhere. I found it cheap. I bought it for cheap at Tower Records when they were even still open.
You could probably get off half.com real cheap.
Half.com, Amazon,
yes,
eBay.
But it is available.
It is available.
You gotta
Go out there
find
and
it.
Find
we
it.
really do no justice for the bits that we're talking about. You gotta watch
it.
it.
Yes, isn't the commission it, or isn't the guy? No. What's his name? There's a guy. There's a shootout sequence with some guy, and he's a. Never mind.
I don't remember.
Never mind. Maybe I'll just cut that part out because I can't think of the guy's name.
No, that's okay.
No, yeah, I'll leave it in. But yeah, it's a funny movie. Go out and find it. Recommend it. It's just get together a bunch of friends and watch it. Or if it's on TV and you notice it's on your guide somewhere, if you're looking through different channel, you see it, just stop it and watch the movie because it's funny as Men in Black 1. No, it's better than that. So that wraps it about up for No Title, episode 2, the next one. I will talk to everyone later. We'll give a little sign off here. Anything else you guys want to add to this, or are we good for this episode?
I think we're pretty good.
No, we're good.
Mark's watching whatever on the TV over there, which we don't have the sound on, but it's interesting, or whatever. So we're going to sign off. Mark, I point to you. Sign off.
Well, he's signaling. He's giving you a one-finger salute.
Oh, he's giving the old out. Oh, thanks.
Have a great night, everybody.
Oh, ho, ho.
And we will see you all next time on No Title, episode 3. If we make No Title, episode 3. Was that Sam? Was that Pocket Sam's? Okay. All right. So thank you and good night.